tough. How are you feeling right now, getting ready to close out fall camp?
I'm feeling great. It's been a process getting back, of course, but the more I work on it, the more the better I feel. So it's been a pretty good fall. Just getting back into it.
Were you able to go to the scrimmage on Saturday?
Yes, I did.
How do you think you did?
I still got stuff to work on, of course, but I think I had an overall pretty good scrimmage, of course. Like I said, still got to get better at things.
Quick reflection question here. When you entered the first series, opening game, did you know right away what was the scenario, the scene?
I knew right away when it happened. I looked at Warren McClendon, our tackle in the game. I said, "Warren, my foot's broke." He was like, "What do you mean?" And then next thing I know, they're calling a play like I didn't process it. So had to get up, run a play, and then next time I got a chance, tap my helmet, got out. So that went down.
How painful was it?
I just say I don't want to know what it felt like if I were general bumping.
How frustrating was that? You know, you work all off season, you're finally starting your first career game, and first drive, you break your foot.
It's frustrating for sure. Took it as a growing experience though. At first it kind of messed with me a little bit, but you learn, you live and you learn. So I think overall it ended up being a good thing for me. I got my head in the right spot, and I think it really put things in perspective when we don't take things for granted.
Can you count yourself back now, or will you be available to play for Clemson, or do you know yet?
I've been working back. I'm feeling pretty good right now. That's really all I've got to say towards that.
Tate, did you know what Liz Frank was before you were diagnosed?
I had no clue. I've never heard of it before. They told me. They said that's what they're pretty sure it was when it happened, and so I had to ask them what it was. I had no clue.
What was the toughest part of the recovery process?
Definitely being on a knee scooter for around, I think it was 10 weeks. So only having one leg for that long was pretty tough. And then of course, at the back end of it, it was getting back in shape. That was really tough. So.
Did you feel like you were like on the ride for the national championship? Were you kind of like a spectator because you weren't on the field? How did you kind of deal with that?
I think with our offensive line room and being around them all the time, I definitely felt like I was a part of it. I think we have a really close group, so they really brought me into it and made me feel like I was a part of it.
How different do you feel physically like right now compared to even back in the spring? I know you're doing some stuff, but obviously still limited.
There's some strength stuff I've got to work on, of course, but I feel pretty much back to normal.
I guess mentally, where do you think you've come the most since this time last year with all the time you had to kind of self-reflect and things like that?
Like I said, don't take things for granted because I was on top of the world starting for us, and then next thing I know, it's over with. So definitely feel like I understand the game better just sitting back and watching and not really as much playing. Mentally, I'm definitely a lot stronger than I was.
You mentioned your teammates kind of kept you in it. What role did they play in sort of keeping your spirits up and making you feel involved? What did that process look like from their side?
A lot bigger one than they know. It was seeing them every day is really what kept me sane during that time. It was coming in here, just seeing them, going to meetings, talking to them. So they played a really big role in that.
What have you learned about Stacey Searles in this last several months, I guess?
He'll coach you, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
He brings energy every day, and I'm a big fan of it. So.
How's your toe doing?
It's good. It's getting better.
How as far as picking up things that defensive linemen doing like with stunts and stuff like that?
So what?
I said, how are you doing it as far as going against defensive linemen as far as their stunts and what they do to try to play off you? Your mobility has got that kind of thing.
I mean, it was tough before. It's tough now. It's just the guys I go against every day. They make it tough. So, yeah, of course, it's a learning curve getting back into that and transitioning to it. But the more we go, the more we compete, the better it gets.
A few weeks ago, we talked to Coach Monk, and he talked about how valuable you actually getting reps out there was going to be. I mean, you could only do so much mentally. How valuable do you feel like those reps you have been able to get out there with your teammates? How valuable do you feel like that's been?
I think it's been very valuable, especially getting to know the guy you're playing against again. Because when you can tell a drop off when you're not playing next to somebody. Like if I'm playing next to Mims and Warren McClendon, I can definitely tell a difference in their play styles. So that's definitely different, but it's been good getting back out there and getting those reps.
So like trying to block Jalen Carter?
We go out there and compete every day. He definitely gets me better, and I try to get him better. But it's tough.
You coming back from your injury, how's going against a guy who might be the best defensive lineman in America? Does that give you more confidence, knowing that, hey, if I can win some battles against this guy, I can go out there and do pretty well on Saturdays?
Going against him definitely gives me more confidence just because I know that I'm going against one of the best. He's definitely gotten me a lot better since I've been back, and he's a really good player.
Standing here today, what do you know about the Oregon Ducks?
We just got done with scrimmage too, so we're still got a lot of stuff to work on ourselves. We're going to get into them later in the week. So that's,
What's your general anticipation for playing a top 11 team in that game, Chick-fil-A in Atlanta?
I think we got that experience last year with Clemson, and I think it's going to be a competitive game.
Tate, you were regarded as the best run blocker by some prior to the injury. How close to last year's version are you right now? You feel?
I think I'm very close to last year's version. Of course, there's little hiccups here and there, learning curves that I've got to get through with this. A lot of it's mental. I think physically, I'm pretty close to where I was.
What are the emotions like at the prospect of getting back out there, having had to sit out for so long?
A lot of joy. First day of practice, I mean, I had the biggest smile on my face that I've ever had in my life. It was just great to be back out there and get back to it.
Coach Mark, when we asked him about torn ACL, said that says guys need to get confidence back in the knee or whatever. How much of that have you had to go through to get confidence back in that foot?
The first big step was how it happened, sitting on a bull rush. And I think one day I got bull rush and instinctively just stuck it back there. And after that, it was like, okay, I can do this now. Yeah.
What's the story behind the mullet, and is that kind of part of the brand? You know, college athletes these days have a brand, right?
Yes and no. In high school, I wasn't allowed to have long hair. Private school, couldn't touch the collar. Then got to college, I was like, I'm gonna do something with this. So I had like a 6-month awkward phase, but here it is now, and it's I see it as I'm too far into it to cut it now. So
You gonna rock it for the whole season?
of course.
Have there been any direct NIL benefits from the mullet?
Not that I can think of.
Because y'all